All right. Hi, guys. My name is Ashley Jackson, and I am in eighth grade science at Hudson Middle School. And I'm also the I3 there. So I am going to show you how to incorporate insert learning into your classroom. So I'm going to show you my screen so you can see what's going on here. So on insert learning, hold on one second, clicked on the wrong one. Here we go. So insert learning is going to be an extension that lets you turn to websites into interactive lessons, which creates so many options for students to learn about new topics and master specific TEKS if that's what you're looking for. I know that one of my biggest problems when making digital lessons is finding multiple resources that I want my students to use. Like you have your directions on one page and you could have your Google slide deck you need them to look at, but then you want to link to discussion for them to be able to talk to one another and collaborate in the class. And then you could have a YouTube video you want to see. So there's just so much going on. But Insert Learning is a place where you can take all of that into one web page and you can assign it through Google Classroom. So anything that does that for us, I know we love it. So what is Insert Learning? First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take you to the website of Insert Learning. So on here, it gives you some images of what you can do, but it's going to be, like I said, an interactive web page. So you can find any articles or web pages that you already have or new ones online. And the cool thing about this is this was created by two high school teachers, and they know exactly what you're looking for in a classroom. So they're able to add things all the time. They have a great help center. But whenever you use this extension, it's going to give you a toolbar on the side. It's very easy to use. And you're able to insert anything that you'd want the students to do, like sticky notes with directions or extra activities you want them to do, insert questions, you can have videos, discussions, everything is right there. This is also a way that they can mark the text. So instead of having to print out copies every single time for marking the text, you could give them a digital version of this, and they would be able to highlight and show that they know where their vocabulary is, the main ideas, important supporting sentences within the paragraphs. So couldn't get easier. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take you to the Google Chrome store so that you can download it or get this extension on your Google Chrome. So you're just going to type in Insert Learning, and then you're going to add it. So I already have mine here, so mine says rate it, but it would have a blue Add to Chrome button here. So you're going to go ahead and add that onto your Chrome. And then you're going to get this little Insert Learning extension up here at the top. So that's all we're looking for. And then there are a couple ways that you are able to access your lessons or start a lesson. So the first way I'm going to show you is by logging in on Insert Learning, just like it would be a new website for you. So mine automatically logged in, but the first time you go, you'll just click on the blue button that says login with Google, and you're able to use your school email address and log in just like you would to Google Classroom or anything like that. So you're going to log in, and here are your lessons. I'm going to talk about it at the end too, but you get 5 free lessons with this assignment or with this extension. And I mean, once you've done one and you've graded it, you can delete it and do another one. So it's pretty awesome. But one way that you can do this is click on this button right here and click New Lesson. So there's a couple options for you. Like I said, you are able to just open the extension on any web page that you already have, or they have a library that you could also search for. So something that a teacher has already created, you could find and then start using it. So you could search your topic here, but I'm going to show you how to do this from any web page so you know just how easy this can actually be. So I have found an article about helmets. So just a little background in my class right now, we are learning about Newton's laws. So with Newton's laws, we talk about sports a lot. And a lot of my students love talking about how Newton's laws apply to sports. And a big topic this year is about concussions. So we're talking about helmets and how much of a help they are to stop concussions and what studies have been done for preventative measures against concussions. So that's what this article is about. It's a pretty short one for my students, and they would be able to read this pretty quickly and get this done. But when you're on the article, all you have to do is click on your extension up here by your URL bar. Click on it, and it's going to pull up your toolbar over here on the left-hand side. So another really cool thing is that they want to give you as much help as possible whenever you're creating this. So if I was choosing this lesson, it's going to be a general lesson for me, but you can see that you have a lot of options here. So I'm going to click general lesson, and this actually opens a helpful article for me in case I don't know how to do this. So there is a YouTube video of a guy that'll take you step by step of what to do. There are instructions that he literally made so you can copy and paste it into instructions for your students. And I'm going to show you how to do all of that. But just so you know, they have a ton of resources online to help you. So on here, first thing I'm going to show you and talk to you about is this toolbar over here on the side. So this toolbar makes your life so easy, and we love it. It's amazing. So the first thing is how you're going to assign it. So we're actually going to look at that last, and I'm going to go through these one at a time. So the first thing is you have a highlighting tool. So you can click on this highlighter, and then you could highlight anything that you want your students to specifically look for in the reading. So this would highlight it from your side, and they would be able to know exactly what you want to pay attention to. So I want to highlight this sentence about how often there are injuries with cycling accidents. So once I have this here, I have a couple options. So there's going to be a paintbrush, and I can click it, and it will change the color of my highlight. So you have 3 options there. And then I also can add a comment to it if I wanted to. And I could say, wow, look at this information. So I really want my students to pay attention to that. And if you accidentally highlight something and you don't like it, there will be this red delete box. So you could always click it and get rid of it. The next thing are sticky notes. So sticky notes are used for a ton of different options. So the first thing I'm going to show you is that I'm going to insert a sticky note to give my students directions. So up here at the top, I'm going to write that your directions. So as you read the following article, first thing that my students are going to do is they're going to highlight the main idea of each paragraph in yellow. The second thing they're going to do is highlight 5 new vocabulary words in green. So these are their directions, and it'll be up here at the top. And whenever it pulls up on their screen, it will also be this bright yellow color so that it's easy for them to recognize and see. Another cool option is that they have this camera right here, and you could actually record yourself. So if you wanted to give your directions as a video of you, you have that option. And I know that's really helpful, especially for differentiation for different students and having direction multiple ways. That is an option for you too. So I'm going to leave my directions up there, and I'm going to keep scrolling down. But I did want to also show you that you're able to embed a YouTube video here. So going back to what I said earlier about how Insert Learning has so many resources for you, they actually have instructional videos for students. So it shows students how to use specific things. So for instance, on this YouTube video, it shows students how to annotate or highlight their reading. So I could take this YouTube video and I can put it, just copy and paste it, and it automatically puts that video on my article for my students to look at. So it would show them exactly how to highlight and how to change the colors so they know what they're doing if this was the first time they were doing it. So I'm going to leave that there. Okay, the next one that's going to be there are questions. So this is how we can tell if our students are actually reading the article and understanding what they're supposed to be reading. So there's 2 different questions you can do. You can do an open response, or you could do a multiple choice question. So I'm going to show you how to do both of them. So the first question I'm going to ask is after this paragraph. And the cool thing about their questions also is that they already have stems typed for you. So if you are rushing to get a lesson done, you could use one one of these sentence stems, like the main idea or summarize the text, and it's already there for you. But I have specific questions I'm going to ask my students. So for this one, I'm going to ask, or I'm going to tell my students to think about Newton's first law. Why would protecting your head during a bicycle ride, be so important? Okay, so I'm going to create this question. So this is one that I want them to just respond, or an open response for them, so they can type their answer here. And I'm going to come back and show you, but this is where you'll view what each student answered. So the next one is I'm going to show you how to do a multiple choice question. So down here, I am going to ask about how she tested her products. So for this question, I'm going to ask, why did the student test her helmet by checking multiple rates at multiple sites? Okay, so I create my question just like normal, and I'm going to click the create button. And then right here, it says type to turn this into a multiple choice question. So I'm going to start typing my multiple choice answers right here for my students. So the first answer choice I'm going to give them is she wanted to make sure her helmet was the best. And then you're able to just hit enter, and it will turn it into that multiple choice question for you. So then next I'm going to do that force equals mass times acceleration. And then I'm going to give them one more option where it says all weights that hit the helmet will give the same force. So then as the teacher, I'm going to mark which one is correct. So then whenever the grades come back, it'll automatically show which students had the correct answer on their question. So then lastly, you are able to add a discussion, and that's what these two chat boxes are down here. So I'm going to add a discussion at the very bottom, and I want my students to start thinking about, okay, why did I want them to start thinking about how are they going to change the way they're going to behave after reading this article. And the great things about discussion is that they can see other people's responses and kind of get ideas from them, and show that they could build on each other's learning. And you can have all these different questions being asked, which is awesome. So my question for them is, how are you going to change the way you behave while playing contact sports, riding a bike, or even being when you are in a car? So then this creates it, and then you're able to select. So for instance, you could choose which classes would be able to see this discussion. If you wanted to separate it and do it by class. I usually keep all my classes together because I do like to see how they respond to each other. I always do like my on-level and then my honors classes. So I have set up my lesson for my students, and this is what they're going to be doing. So I'm completely done. And I want to just go back to the top and double check that everything is there. So I have my highlight, I inserted a video to it, and then I have a open-ended question. I have my multiple choice question, and at the very end, I have my discussion. So now I'm going to be moving on to what are these last two tools on your toolbar. So the more options will give you a couple things that you can see, like assign to students, share with other teachers. So there have been a couple times where me and my teachers on my team have shared lessons with each other so that our students are working on very similar articles together and seeing kind of similar questions. And then also you can view this as a student. So you can see what exactly the students are going to see so that you know everything is there that they need. So you're going to be able to answer it just like that. Also, on this part, you can start your discussion. So you could start a prompt on maybe what you want your students to start answering. And then it'll show as your name. So I'm going to resume to teacher view, and we're going to go ahead and assign this to our class. Oh, sorry, last one down here. I'm so sorry. So this is a little lifesaver down here, and I think that's so cute. And this is their help and support. So down here, this is where you can search for any articles that other teachers have answered before. So you are able to see tons of different ideas. If you have any questions about what's going on, you're able to see that here. So that's your little lifesaver down at the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and assign this to my class. So I'm going to click on this, the insert learning icon at the top. I'm going to assign it. So this can be assigned straight to Google Classroom. If you wanted to click on the Google Classroom button, you could select any of your Google classes and you can assign it straight to them. But for this lesson, I set up a webinar class. So I'm going to assign it to my webinar class, and then it is done. It's going to give them a link, and it's going to automatically go to them. So it's so nice being able to have the option of going to Google Classroom so that you don't have to worry about copying and pasting links and making sure it's the correct student link and everything's there. It assigns it for you, and students can go in and see it as an assignment, and it's awesome, all there for you. So I'm going to now show you what this would look like from a student view. So I'm going to click on people. I'm going to go to my other login. So this is my fake student for this assignment. So same thing. Students are able to go straight to Google Classroom and be able to log in. They will need the insert learning extension also to be able to do this. But as long as you give them the link, it will automatically show them a button where they can click and they can see the, or it takes them straight to Google Chrome Store, and it will download it for them. So that will be there for them. Or if you wanted to give them the link to go to the Google Chrome Store and set it up themselves, you could do that also. But on here, so it says now that I have a lesson called the Helmet Helper. So I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to get started on the lesson as a student. So everything's going to start loading, and I'm going to see my directions. And if I scroll down, I can see my questions. And then at the very end, I can see that I have a discussion. So first thing that I need to be able to do is look at my directions at the top, and I need to highlight the main idea of each paragraph in yellow. So when I start reading, when I go over each paragraph, and I have the toolbox very similar to what the teacher has over here, and I'm going to select my highlight tool, and I am going to highlight my main idea here. Very similar to what the teacher has, where they're able to make comments, so can the student. They can add a comment here where I could write main idea so that I remember that myself. And if I wanted to highlight about a new vocabulary word, I'm going to select concussions as a new vocabulary word. I'm going to highlight that, and then I'm going to change it to green like the directions told me to. Double check that. Yes. Okay, so then I could write vocab. So then I knew exactly what was going on, and the teacher would know exactly what I was doing. So during this, whenever I am going to be answering the questions or highlighting what I need to highlight, this is connecting to the ISTE standards by showing the empowered learner that students use technology to seek feedback that informs and improves their practice and demonstrate their learning in a variety of ways. So by highlighting the main idea or vocabulary or answering open-ended questions, students are able to show what they know about this topic. And then teachers are also able to see a variety of ways that the students are understanding a specific topic. And then I'm also able to, as a student, I can add an insert note or add a sticky note, and I could put anything here that would further my learning, maybe for my teacher to understand that I do know this. I also have seen teachers ask students to find a YouTube video or a website that could connect further to their learning. So that's just one more extension activity you could do for your students also. And then whenever they come down to this discussion part, like I said, it's going to show all of your students' answers down here, or whichever class you choose to show. So this is going to be connecting to that global communicator. So our students use collaborative technologies to work with others, including peers. So are they actually getting out and talking to community members? Not exactly, but they are talking to different people that may not just be in their class. And then if you connect this with other teachers within your building, you could also have some different conversations going on from teacher to teacher. And then you're also seeing multiple viewpoints. So they're able to see, how does one student feel about this compared to another student? Especially with this example, they talked about sports related injuries versus like riding a bike. So if somebody that's not done sports before, they could see it from a side of view of an athlete. So lastly, I'm just going to show you what it looks like whenever you are going to grade as a teacher. So as a student, I'm going to mark that my assignment is done. So I am marking that it is done. And I'm going to go back to my teacher site. So in my dashboard, I am able to see this assignment. And now I have student annotations up here, and I can select what student I want to look at. So this was my student that I just made up. And I can see that here is her yellow main idea, and here is one of her vocabulary words. And then you are able to look at your multiple choices. So hers would show up right here. I was a bad student and did not answer that one. So you can do that. Or if you're looking at everybody's, then you would be able to go down to one of the questions and view all responses, and it would show all students' responses, and you could score it right there. So she would get a 0 because she did not provide feedback. So very, very simple for you as a teacher to go through and grade and see what did they understand and what they did not understand. So some of the best things about Insert Learning is that they have I'm so sorry, Insert Learning, go back to their main website, is that they are able to have G Suite integration, which as a Google district, that's awesome for us. So we are very Chromebook compatible, and they are able to sign in with their Google account. They don't have to worry about memorizing a new login. You're able to put it directly in Google Classroom so students can pull straight from that link and not worry about having to know codes or passwords. And then you can connect to any Google Doc or anything that is needed for your students to look at on this assignment. So whenever you have sticky notes added, you could always connect it to a Google document that you want them to go look at, which is their next project, or anything that is going to allow them to further their learning or extend what they've done. And then YouTube videos. I mean, being able to connect a YouTube video right into that assignment saves a lot of time and a lot of worrying about students going to tabs or websites they don't need to be at. I love that it's right there for you. So lastly, I just wanted to tell you that Insert Learning is completely free. You are able to have 5 lessons for free. And like I said, whenever you are doing the lessons, once one is done, you are able to delete it and then create a new one. So it's kind of open to those 5, but it is only $40 a year. So if you really think about how much marking the text or how much we are doing with online learning and blended learning, $40 a year is really not bad for us as teachers. And that's always one thing that you could apply for a grant for to be paid. That would be awesome to be able to have in your classroom and have all the features that they have available for you. And then lastly, I just wanted to show you, if you go all the way down to the bottom of insertlearning.com, they have a YouTube channel. And on this YouTube channel, you can find so much information. I know I mentioned it once already, but there's tons of views from students. So you can upload and put that video in the student's assignment, and then they don't have to go find out how do we even highlight these things. That video will be there for them, and they can see exactly how to do those directions. One way that I love using this in my class is small grouping. And if I have a small group over at my table, I want to make sure that all my students are not coming and asking me questions over and over again about directions that they could have in front of them. So I always try to make sure that I put these tutorial videos in there so that students are able to know exactly what they need to do, and they can see an example of it, and they don't need to come disturb me while I'm working with a specific group of students. So if you ever have any questions, just let me know. And my email address is going to be Ashley or sorry, not for Garland. It's going to be ALJACK, so JACK 02 at garlandisd.net. So if there's anything you ever needed about insert learning, like I said, they have tons of tutorials, but if you did need to have any questions for me, then I would be glad to help you. It's something I love using in my classroom, so just let me know. And I work at Hudson Middle School, again, if you need to get that email address, and you can find it on the website. All right, thank you guys.